I'm standing by the window, my gaze fixed on the city skyline. The sun is setting, casting a warm glow on the towering skyscrapers. It's a breathtaking view, but I find no solace in its beauty. The ache in my chest is too great to be eased by mere scenery. There's a soft knock on the door, pulling me from my thoughts. My heart skips a beat as if expecting someone, but I'm alone, or so I think. Amanda, dear, you've been awfully quiet this evening. Are you sure you don't want me to stay over? My best friend Jennifer's concerned voice breaks the solemn silence. I turn around slowly, meeting her empathetic gaze. I can see the worry etched across her face, and it makes me feel both grateful and vulnerable. I'm fine, Jen, I reply with a half-hearted smile, trying to hide the sadness that has consumed my soul. It's just Luke's been on my mind all day. Today would have been our 7th anniversary. As soon as his name leaves my lips, an overwhelming wave of emotions crashes over me like a tidal wave. My voice trembles and tears well up in my eyes. Jen steps into the apartment, her eyes filled with understanding and compassion. She knows this day holds painful memories for me, a reminder of what could have been. Amanda stood frozen, her eyes locked on the scene before her. The sight of Luke embracing another woman stabbed her heart with a pain so intense it took her breath away. She felt as if someone had reached into her chest and was slowly tearing her heart apart. Luke's words of apology rang hollow in her ears. She couldn't process anything beyond the crushing weight of betrayal. Her vision blurred with tears, and she stumbled backward, her hand still on the doorknob. Amanda, please, let me explain, Luke pleaded, stepping toward her. But Amanda couldn't bear to look at him. She turned away, her chest heaving with sobs. She fled from the apartment, leaving behind the man who had shattered her world. As she stumbled down the stairs of the building, she felt a gentle touch on her arm. Jennifer. Her best friend had followed her, sensing the devastation within her. Let's get you out of here, Jen whispered, leading her away. Amanda allowed herself to be guided, her mind numb and her heart in agony. She didn't resist as Jen steered her toward her car. The drive back to Amanda's apartment was a blur. Jen kept up a steady stream of soothing words, trying to calm her friend's frayed nerves. But Amanda couldn't shake the image of Luke with another woman. Once inside her apartment, Amanda collapsed onto the couch, her body spent from the emotional upheaval. Jen sat beside her, holding her hand. I should have seen the signs, Amanda sobbed, her voice broken. I was so focused on my work. I neglected him. I neglected our marriage. Jen squeezed her hand, her eyes reflecting her sorrow. It's not your fault, Amanda. You can't control what others do. Luke made his choice. It's his loss, not yours. But Amanda couldn't shake the feeling of culpability. She had failed as a wife, and now she was paying the price. The next few weeks passed in a blur of tears and despair. Amanda lost herself in her grief, neglecting her appearance and her work. She spent most of her time in bed, the covers pulled over her head, trying to block out the world. Jen refused to let her wallow in self-pity. She visited daily, bringing groceries, cooking meals, and gently prodding Amanda to eat and take care of herself. One day, several weeks after the devastating discovery, Jen arrived with a determined expression on her face. Amanda, you need to get up. You've been moping long enough. It's time to take back control of your life. Amanda lifted her head from the pillow, her eyes bleary from crying. I have no life, she mumbled, her voice hoarse. Yes, you do. And it's time to reclaim it. You're a strong, independent woman. You can get through this. Amanda's eyes widened at the determination in Jen's voice. She sat up straighter, a spark of determination igniting within her. You're right, she said, wiping her tears. I've been wallowing in self-pity. It's time to show Luke what he's missing. Jen smiled, her eyes sparkling with hope. That's my girl. Now, let's start with a shower and some fresh clothes. We're going to get you back on track. Amanda nodded, feeling a glimmer of hope for the first time in weeks. She stood up, ready to face the world again. The following weeks became a blur of self-improvement and self-reflection. Amanda threw herself into therapy, working through her pain and regret. She joined a support group, finding solace in the shared experiences of others. She began to understand the mistakes she had made in her marriage and the importance of balance. She realized that her success as a real estate agent had become a crutch, a distraction from the cracks in her relationship. As she healed, Amanda discovered a new sense of purpose. She began to see her work through a different lens, understanding the emotional weight behind each transaction. She connected with her clients on a deeper level, listening to their stories and helping them find their dream homes. Her renewed passion for her work paid off. Her business flourished, and soon she was recognized as one of the top agents in her field. But despite her professional success, there was still a void in her personal life. One evening, after a particularly successful day, Amanda received a call from Jen. "Hey, you up for a blind date tonight? I have someone I think you'd really like." Amanda's heart skipped a beat at the prospect. "I'm in," she replied, a smile spreading across her face. An hour later, she found herself sitting across from a handsome man with a warm smile. Eric. That was his name. The evening flew by in a blur of engaging conversation and shared laughter. Eric was kind, thoughtful, and easy to talk to. He listened attentively as Amanda spoke about her work, her passion for helping people find their perfect homes. As the date drew to a close, Amanda felt a sense of connection she hadn't experienced in a long time. She walked him to his car, a warm glow still radiating from within her. "Thank you for tonight," Eric said, his eyes holding a spark of something more. "I really enjoyed myself." "So did I," Amanda replied, unable to hide the smile on her face. "I'd love to see you again." Eric leaned in and kissed her softly on the lips. "Then it's settled. I'll call you tomorrow." Amanda watched him drive away, a flutter of excitement in her stomach. As she turned back toward her apartment, she realized that healing and redemption had opened a new chapter in her life. The following weeks were a whirlwind of romance and discovery. Eric proved to be a thoughtful and considerate partner, nothing like the selfish Luke. He listened to her, understood her needs, and supported her through every step of her journey. Amanda found herself falling deeply in love. Eric's presence brought a sense of peace and comfort to her life, a far cry from the turmoil she had experienced with Luke. One evening, as they lay together on the couch, Eric turned to her with a serious expression. "Amanda, I want you to know that I love you. I've never felt this way about anyone before." Amanda's heart swelled with joy. "I love you too, Eric. With all my heart." He reached for her hand, his eyes filled with determination. "Then marry me. I want to spend the rest of my life making you happy." Amanda's eyes welled up with tears. After all she had been through, she never thought she'd find love again. But here she was, being proposed to by a wonderful man. She nodded, unable to speak past the lump in her throat. Eric slipped a ring onto her finger, and they sealed their promise with a kiss. The wedding was a beautiful affair, surrounded by their closest friends and family. Amanda walked down the aisle, her heart no longer shattered but filled with hope and love. As she stood beside Eric, gazing into his eyes, she knew that true love wasn't about passion alone. It was about a deep sense of comfort, understanding, and mutual respect. She had found her second chance at love, and this time, she would cherish it forever. The end. As I stared out the window of my spacious apartment, gazing at the city skyline as the sun set, there was a soft knock on the door. My heart skipped a beat as if expecting someone, but I was alone, or so I thought. "Amanda, dear, you've been awfully quiet this evening. Are you sure you don't want me to stay over?" It was Jennifer, my best friend. She always had a way of knowing when something was wrong. "I'm fine, Jen," I replied with a forced smile. "It's just Luke's been on my mind all day. Today would have been our 7th anniversary." I turned around to face Jennifer, and she could see the sadness reflected in my eyes. "Oh, Amanda," she said with empathy in her voice as she stepped into the apartment. I know this day holds painful memories for you, a reminder of what could have been. Tears welled up in my eyes and began to stream down my cheeks. I should have been more present, you know, I said through sobs. 7 years is a long time, and I was too wrapped up in my work. I guess he found someone who could give him the attention I couldn't. Jennifer pulled me into a comforting embrace and let me cry on her shoulder. She knew how much regret and guilt were consuming me. It's not your fault, Amanda, she reassured me softly. Luke made his own choices. You can't blame yourself for his actions. But deep down, I couldn't help but feel that it was partly my fault. If only I had made more time for our relationship instead of prioritizing my career. As Jennifer held me tight, the floodgates of emotions burst open, and memories from that fateful day flooded back to me like a torrential storm. I walked down the aisle at 28, a vision of happiness and hope as I married the love of my life, Luke. He was a charming and handsome businessman, and I was an aspiring real estate agent determined to build a successful career. The wedding day was filled with joy and promise, a promise that seemed too good to be true. But then, life got in the way. I fast-forwarded to my 35th year, buried under a mountain of paperwork on my desk as a successful real estate agent. The phone rang non-stop, demanding my attention at every turn. My aspirations for success had taken over, leaving little room for anything else, including my marriage. Luke, unable to bear the neglect any longer, sought comfort in the arms of another. Enter Lucy, a tantalizing 26-year-old who had all the time and attention to spare. Their affair began discreetly but grew more intense as time went on. I was oblivious to it all until that one fateful day when my hectic schedule took an unexpected twist. I felt a nudge in my heart, a gut feeling that something wasn't right. Finishing up a particularly difficult deal ahead of schedule, I decided to surprise Luke by coming home early. As I opened the door to our once happy home, the scene that unfolded before me shattered my world into pieces. There they were, Luke and Lucy, embracing each other with passion on the couch, completely oblivious to my presence. Time stood still as shock coursed through my veins. The hurt etched across my face was profound as tears welled up in my eyes. Luke's hurried explanations and apologies seemed hollow and insincere. His words couldn't undo the betrayal I had witnessed or mend the shattered pieces of our marriage. With unwavering determination fueled by heartbreak and anger, I made up my mind. It was time to walk away from a relationship that could no longer be salvaged. The divorce was a painful and messy process, but it was necessary for both of our sakes. Luke moved on with Lucy, and I was left to pick up the pieces of my broken heart. But in the midst of the pain and loneliness that followed, I became a shell of my former self. The weight. As Jennifer held me tight, I couldn't help but relive the moment my world came crashing down. The memory was still raw, the pain fresh in my mind. I saw myself, 3 years earlier, opening the door to my once happy home. The scene before me was etched into my memory, a permanent scar on my soul. Luke, my once adoring husband, was embracing Lucy, his mistress, with a passion that should have been reserved for me. The sight of their entwined bodies sent a spear of pain through my heart. I had suspected nothing. In the chaos of my successful real estate career, I had been blind to the cracks forming in my marriage. As I stood frozen in the doorway, shock and betrayal etched across my face, Luke pulled away from Lucy, his eyes darting between us. He looked like a deer caught in headlights, unable to decide which danger to flee from. Amanda, I can explain, he stammered, his eyes pleading for forgiveness. But I couldn't bear to listen to his excuses. I turned away, unable to bear the sight of their intimate embrace any longer. I'm leaving, I said, my voice trembling with emotion. I can't be here anymore. And I walked away, leaving behind the life I had built with Luke. The following months were a blur of pain and loneliness. I threw myself into my work, neglecting my health and appearance. My once promising career became my only focus, a distraction from the aching void in my heart. But it wasn't enough. The emptiness inside me grew with each passing day, until it consumed me entirely. I found myself sinking deeper into a well of despair, unable to find meaning in anything. It was then that Jennifer stepped in, her eyes filled with determination. She refused to let me wallow in self-pity and dragged me, kicking and screaming, back into the world. "You're not doing this alone," she said, her voice firm but caring. "I'm here for you, and I'm not letting you give up on life." With her unwavering support, I began to find my footing again. I started attending therapy, where a wise therapist guided me through the labyrinth of my emotions. "You're not responsible for Luke's actions," the therapist said, her voice calm and reassuring. "You have to forgive yourself, Amanda. You deserve to be happy." Her words resonated with me, and I began to see a glimmer of hope on the horizon. As I worked on healing my heart, I discovered a new sense of purpose. I realized that my career, while successful, had been hollow and unfulfilling. I wanted more than just financial success. I wanted a life with meaning, a life where I could find happiness again. With this newfound determination, I began to rebuild my life. I reconnected with old friends, finding solace in their company. I discovered a passion for painting, losing myself in the swirls of color on the canvas. And then, one evening, as I was painting, Jennifer called me. "Hey, you busy tonight? I have a surprise for you," she said excitedly. I smiled, knowing that whatever it was, it would be good. "I'm all yours," I replied, setting aside my paintbrush. An hour later, I was dressed and ready for whatever adventure Jennifer had planned. She picked me up in her sleek black car, her eyes sparkling with anticipation. "You're going to love this," she said, her voice mysterious. She drove us to a cozy bistro in the heart of the city, the air filled with the aroma of freshly cooked meals. As we sat down at a table by the window, I noticed a tall, well-built man sitting alone at a nearby table. He had a captivating smile and a kind face. "Who's the mystery man?" I asked, curious. "You'll see," she said, her eyes twinkling. "Just enjoy the ride." The evening unfolded with delightful conversation and laughter. We spoke about art, travel, and the little things that made life worth living. The man, whose name was Eric, had a gentle spirit and a deep well of empathy. As the evening drew to a close, I felt a sense of connection I hadn't experienced since Luke. "Thank you for tonight," I said to Eric, my eyes holding a spark of something more. "The pleasure was all mine," he replied, his voice warm and genuine. "I'd love to see you again." I nodded, unable to speak past the lump in my throat. As we left the restaurant, Eric pulled me aside. "I know this might be too soon," he said, his eyes searching mine, "but would you let me call you again?" I smiled, feeling a flutter in my stomach. Yes. Yes, I would." He leaned in and kissed me softly on the lips, and I felt a spark that I hadn't felt in years. The following weeks were a whirlwind of romance and excitement. Eric and I spent countless evenings together, exploring the city, getting to know each other better. He was unlike anyone I had ever met, kind, considerate, and genuinely interested in my feelings and thoughts. One evening, as we lay together on the couch in his apartment, Eric turned to me with a serious expression. "Amanda, I want you to know that I love you. I've never felt this way about anyone before." My heart swelled with joy, and I felt a lump in my throat. "I love you too, Eric," I said, my voice thick with emotion. He reached for my hand, his eyes filled with determination. "Then marry me. I want to spend every day making you happy." I felt tears well up in my eyes as I realized that after all the pain and heartache, I was being given a second chance at love. "Yes," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "Yes, I'll marry you." The wedding was a small, intimate affair, held on a picturesque beach at sunset. As I stood beside Eric, the sun casting a golden glow on us, I knew that this moment was the beginning of a new chapter in my life. As we danced together under the stars, I felt a deep sense of peace and contentment. I had found a love that was not just passionate but also calming and reassuring. I realized that true love wasn't just about the grand gestures or intense feelings. It was about the everyday moments, the comfort and understanding shared between two people. I had found my true home, and my heart was finally unbroken. As we danced together under the stars, I felt a deep sense of peace and contentment. I had found a love that was not just passionate but also calming and reassuring. I realized that true love wasn't just about the grand gestures or intense feelings. It was about the everyday moments, the comfort and understanding shared between two people. I had found my true home, and my heart was finally unbroken. With Eric by my side, life took on a vibrant new meaning. We went on spontaneous road trips, explored hidden gems in the city, and created our own traditions. Every day felt like an adventure filled with love and laughter. My real estate business continued to thrive as well. The balance I had found in my personal life spilled over into my professional endeavors. I connected with clients on a deeper level, understanding their dreams and desires for finding the perfect home. One afternoon, as Eric and I were enjoying a picnic in our favorite park, my phone rang. It was a prospective client who had been referred to me by one of my previous satisfied customers. "Hello?" I answered cheerfully. "Hi, is this Amanda?" A hesitant voice responded. "Yes, it is. How can I help you today?" "Well," they began slowly. "I heard you're the best in town when it comes to finding the perfect home." A smile spread across my face at the compliment. "Thank you. I certainly strive to be. I've been searching for months now but haven't found anything that truly feels like home. Can you help me?" The excitement in their voice mirrored my own passion for helping others find their dream homes. "Absolutely. Let's schedule a time to meet and discuss exactly what you're looking for in your ideal home." As we ended the call with plans set in motion, Eric looked at me with pride shining in his eyes. "You're amazing at what you do," he said, his voice full of admiration. "I'm so proud of you." His words warmed my heart, and I couldn't help but feel overwhelmed with gratitude for everything that had led me to this point. "I couldn't have done it without your love and support," I replied, placing a gentle kiss on his cheek. Life was far from perfect, but it was beautiful in its imperfections. The scars from my past were still there, reminders of the pain and regrets I had once carried. But they no longer defined me. They served as a constant reminder of how far I had come and the strength I possessed. As the years passed by, Eric and I built a life together filled with love, laughter, and the occasional disagreement. We celebrated anniversaries, shared dreams for the future, and embraced the ups and downs that came with every journey. And through it all, my heart remained unbroken. I had learned from my past mistakes and discovered that love could heal even the deepest wounds. As Amanda's story comes to a close, she reflects on her journey of regret and redemption. She looks out at the city skyline from her apartment window once more, savoring the view that fills her with hope and excitement for what lies ahead. The city lights twinkle in the distance as Amanda takes a deep breath, feeling a sense of peace wash over her. She knows that life will always have challenges and obstacles to overcome. But now she has the tools to face them head-on: self-reflection, forgiveness, and an unwavering belief in second chances. Amanda turns away from the window with a smile on her face. She walks into the living room where Eric is waiting for her, their two golden retrievers wagging their tails enthusiastically. "Ready for our next adventure?" he asks, his eyes sparkling with anticipation. Amanda nods, her heart full of gratitude for all that she has overcome and all that she has to look forward to. "Absolutely," she says, intertwining her fingers with Eric's. The next morning, I woke up feeling a sense of peace and contentment. The previous night's events replayed in my mind like a delightful dream. I stretched my arms above my head, feeling a smile spread across my face. As I stepped into the kitchen, the sun shone brightly through the window, casting a warm glow on the room. Eric was already up, preparing breakfast. "Good morning," he said, his eyes sparkling with a hint of mischief. "How did you sleep?" "Like a baby," I replied, my voice thick with sleep. "It's been a long time since I've slept so soundly." He smiled, his eyes filled with a warmth that made my heart flutter. "I'm glad. I wanted you to feel at home here." I walked over to him, wrapping my arms around his waist. "I do feel at home. With you, I feel like I've finally found my place in the world." He turned to me, his eyes soft and sincere. "I love you, Amanda. I want to make every day as special as our first date." I felt tears well up in my eyes at his words. "You already do, Eric. Just being with you makes every day special." He leaned in and kissed me softly, and I lost myself in the moment. After breakfast, we decided to explore the city. As we strolled hand in hand, I felt a sense of belonging and connection that I had never experienced before. Eric pointed out hidden gems and local favorites, sharing stories and memories of his life in the city. We ended up at a quaint coffee shop, tucked away on a side street. As we sat down at a small table by the window, I felt a gentle tap on my shoulder. I turned around to see a young woman with a baby in her arms. "Excuse me," she said, her voice hesitant. "I couldn't help but notice your wedding ring. Congratulations." I smiled at her, feeling a rush of warmth in my heart. "Thank you." "Yes, I just got married." "I'm expecting too," she said, placing a hand on her belly. "It's such a wonderful time. Enjoy every moment. It goes by too fast." I nodded, my mind flashing back to my pregnancy with Luke. The memories were bittersweet, a mix of joy and sorrow. "You're right," I said, turning back to Eric. "Every moment is precious." He squeezed my hand, his eyes filled with a love that made my heart soar. As we left the coffee shop, I felt a renewed sense of purpose and hope. I realized that the journey ahead would have its share of challenges and heartaches, but with Eric by my side, I knew that my heart was no longer alone. The city seemed to glow with a new radiance as we walked back home, hand in hand, under the setting sun.